The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified English Freely. Read by Kanitha Silat. Chapter 40. The Storm. About midnight Joe awoke and called the boys. There was vague stillness in the air that seemed to threaten something. The boys thought friendly companionship of the fire, in spite of the dead heat of breathless air. There sat still and expectant. Beyond the light of the fire, everything was swallowed up in the light of fire. Everything. Blackness, presently a vague flash of lightning gleaming. The tree for a moment at Venice. Another came, a little stronger, then another, then a faint moan came sighing through the branches, and the boys trembled, fancying that some spirit of the night has gone by. There was a pause. Now a turbulence flashed tonight into their and showed separate and distant. Every little grass blade that grew about their feet, each sharp, three white, starred face, too, a deep flow of thunder went crashing across the sky and lost itself in the distance. A cold breeze sprang up. It shook all the leaves and scattered ash about the fire. Another fresh flash lit up the forest, and the crash followed. That seemed to cheer the tree tops light over a boy's head. They held on to each other in the terror, in the thick gloom that followed. Few big raindrops fell upon the leaf. Quick, boys, go for the chain! Exclaimed Tom. The left away, stumbling over roots. The drag is dashing in different directions. A ferris, while it's dashing in a different route, drew the trees, making everything sing as it went. One blinding flash after another came and rolled upon roll of deafening thunder, and now the rain poured down, and the racing wind drove it in sheets along the ground. The boys cried out to each other along the ground, but the roaring wind and rolling thunder drove their voices utterly. However, one by one, they staggered in at last and took shelter under the tent, cold fighting and streaming with water. The old sail beat about so furiously that they could not talk, even if the about so furiously that they could not talk, even if other noise had over them. The storm rose higher and higher, and presently the sails too rose from it, fastening, and went flying away on the wind. The boys seized each other, hands and feet, with many stumbling, and burst through the shelter of the great oak, and stood upon the river bank. Now, if the battle was at its highest, under the crystalline flash that flamed in the sky, everything below the bending trees, the river white with foam, the dim outline of the cliff on the other side seen through the racing crowds, and the wall of land stood out in clean-cut and shadowless distinctness. From time to time, some against three yelled in the fight and fell crashing through the younger growth. The thunder came now through in ear-splitting, explosive brush pitilessly, keen and unspeakable, awful. The storm ended with the gigantic offers, then seemed likely to tear an island's surprise, burn it out, down it to the treetops, blow it away, deafen every creature it in, all at one and same moment. It was a wild night for homeless young heads to be out in, but at last the battle was over, and the force of nature retired with vigor and victories, and peace returned. The boys went back to camp a good deal old, but they found that there was still something to be thankful for, because the great tea which has the shelter of their beds was a land now spread by the lighting. Everything in the camp was wet through the campfire as well. Her was disturbed, for they were wet to the skin and shivering. However, they discovered that the fire had eaten so far up the great long against with it had been built that a few inches as excavating there presently worked at it with life in a blanket from the underside of sheltered logs until they picture it to burn again. Then they pile on great dead branches till they had a lowering brush. There the fire and coffee, their midnight adventure until morning, for there was not a dry spot to sleep on anywhere allowed. As the sun grew stronger, the boys felt sleep and they went out on sandbar and lay down. They were soon burnt out by the sun, and whiling began to prepare breakfast. After to meal, they felt stiff joy and a little homesick once more. Tom saw and sighed and tried to cheer up the pilot as well as he could, but they cared nothing for marbles or cookers or swimming or anything. He proposed that they should stop being pilots for a time and be less Indians for a change. They were attracted by this idea. It was not long before they were stupid and stiff from head to heel with back moved. All of them chief, of course, and then they went dashing through the woods and attract an English statement afterwards. Their superior into their revived troop and sprang out upon each other from hiding place with dreadful war cries, and killed and skinned each other by thousands. It was bloody there, and therefore was a satisfactory one. Their esper in camp was super time, hunky and happy, but now a difficulty. Thrive at war with each other, how could not bake bread together without first making peace. And this was simply an impossibility without smoking a pipe or peace. Two of Alaskins almost wished that they had remained pilot. However, there was no other has remained where, so with as much cheerfulness as they could pretend, they called for pipe and took their puff as it passed with purple ceremony. They were glad that they had become less keen, for therefore found that they could now smoke a little without having to go and hunting for a lost knife. They that did not get sick enough to be seriously comfortable. Their practice hostily after supper with fair success, and so they spent two joyful evenings.